Hello world! Welcome to the show. Today we have a special episode and it's focused on .NET 6. And with me today, I have Jeff. Hello Jeff, how are you?
Hey Frank, I love what you've done with the place here.
Hello, like that world? Purple. I made some effort and I did try to match it, and even my the other side light here is kind of purplish. So, I did try.
Hey. You know what? You got to spruce things up. It's nice.
I like it. So today we'll be talking about many different things, .NET 6, and also talking a little bit about the conference coming up. But can you tell a little bit more about those topics?
Oh, sure. So we want to talk a little bit about why you would choose .NET. What's so great about .NET? It's been around for a while, but what makes .NET 5 and the coming .NET 6 so great for developers to choose, whether you're building for the cloud or a mobile device or a desktop application? We're going to take a look and discuss that. We want to talk a little bit about the new minimal approach that you're going to see in .NET 6, the way that you don't have to write as much code to get things started, to build an application. Some of the ceremony has been stripped out and made a lot easier for you to get into and get started with. We're also going to get into one of my favorite topics, Blazor. Show you some of the cool new things coming with Blazor as part of .NET 6. And finally, yeah, you're right, Frank, we got to talk about .NET Conf, our big announcement event coming in November.
Oh, that's pretty cool. And I have a little surprise for you because we have a game. Yeah. So let's bring Nitya. Used to be my co-host every day during Hello World Season 1. And Nitya will play ABSee. Can you explain for Jeff or the viewers who don't know what it is?
Absolutely. And you'll see I still have the colors from the Hello World ABSee segment. So ABSee is a game where we visualize a concept, a service, or even a person sometimes. I'm going to draw something in 30 seconds. There'll be puns and prompts, and you're going to try to guess what I'm talking about. And big hint, a lot of it will have to do with either the web or .NET. So stick around.
Wonderful. So we'll keep you a little bit more later. But now... I'm having trouble because I don't see my clock today. Right now, I want to talk about the question of the day. Still don't have the effect, but I have a question of the day. So when choosing a version of a framework or a tool to work with, I prefer the long-term support, the LTS version, the latest release version with a short support cycle, or C, a pre-release or nightly version so I can try the latest features. So you could, with your phone, scan that code bar. You could go at the little link, aka.ms/helloword/Q3. You could just answer it in the chat. That's your way to provide information back to the .NET team, aka Jeff.
I know that guy. Yeah.
So every episode we have one specific question that the guest is asking to the audience, because all along during the show, the chat is open. You could ask all the questions related to the topic we're talking today. So if we're talking about something off topic, it will be hard for Jeff to find the time to answer. But otherwise, ask your question in the chat. We'll read it and we'll answer it on camera, just for you.
Absolutely. Yeah, right. We like to do things live. It's going to be great.
Exactly. And Jeff, I think you wanted to add a little bit something about the question of the day.
So this question is something that a lot of folks kind of kick around here and want to help frame their decisions when they choose a tool. When you choose to use a technical tool, a development tool, a framework, which version do you choose to install? Sometimes you go out to these websites and there's two versions sitting out there. And there's the long-term support version. You see that with .NET, you see that with Node, you see that with a couple different products out there. And which one should you choose? And you can of course go on to GitHub and some of the developers' websites, and you can grab nightly versions, preview releases. There's monthly milestone releases we've seen with .NET, but these are the opportunity for you to download and try out versions and content, new features before it's generally available. When do you like to engage with each of those different versions? So when you're downloading and getting started with a product, or maybe you're a little bit further along and you're currently a professional developer using a certain framework or tool set, which one of these versions do you prefer to use?
Wonderful, wonderful. That's cool. We're already seeing some answer. For me, I answer in the chat. I will answer in the form later. I had so much fun, by the way, creating that Microsoft form. It's cool. I'm most of the time I'm A, because I present and like I don't want to be in trouble and with using different tools. But I have my second machine when I'm experimenting, working on shorter video or demo, and I'm totally going for the greatest and latest to see all the the little last bites.
Absolutely. I'm with you on that. When I'm building things for a production system, I want to have that long-term support version.
Of course, makes sense.
But as I look at and I start to plan new versions of applications, new versions of projects that I'm working on, I'm going to download that latest nightly release, that latest milestone release that's not even fully supported yet. So I can explore and figure out, like you're saying, I want to look at some of that bleeding edge stuff and figure out where does this fit into my plans longer term so that I can take advantage of it in that next version of the application that I'm building or service, whatever it might be.
Wonderful. Well, Jeff, let's jump. And I was having some question, but I know because I couldn't see my time, we're a little bit over. So let's jump into like the first demo. And could you explain what this section is about?
Sure. So we're not going to get even deep into a demo here. We want to just talk about why.NET. Let's talk about the how, why, and where has this thing been? Where does it come from? And .NET is a framework, is a tool set. It's a whole ecosystem, actually, of languages, frameworks, runtimes, and tools that you can use to build applications anywhere from as small as IoT devices, mobile devices, tablets. You can build things to run, of course, on Windows. You can build to run on Mac and Linux as well. Web applications. You can even build things that run on the cloud. So you've got the whole gamut of applications that you can build and work with .NET. It really is a full-fledged ecosystem of tools and technologies that are going to make your development experience better. So where do you go to get started? How do I get involved? How do I learn more about this? This is the .NET website. Here it is, right here. You can find this. It's real easy to type in your browser, dot.net. It sounds weird to spell it out, but it's going to route you to .net.microsoft.com. And this is the jumping off point to learn more about the entire framework, where you can use it. Folks ask me, how can I learn more about this? Where should I go to get started? This is it. This is the website right here. And big get started button, big download button to get you the software development kit to get started. There's even training material down here. All the different project types that you may want to get started with listed here. Information about the 3 primary languages you can use to write applications using .NET. We think this is a great jumping off point for folks that want to learn more about .NET, see some videos about .NET, and get that first tutorial in and see a little bit more about what other folks have done with .NET. So I'm going to, of course, recommend go click that big download button so you can get your hands on the software development kit. Now, we're about a month away from .NET 6. That means that there's a release candidate, and you can see the banner right there, right at the top of the website. .NET 6 release candidate 2 is now available. It was just released just yesterday, as a matter of fact. It's got a significant hardening. It's features that are getting ready to be released. They're all getting squared away for us, and you're going to be able to download it with a link up here Or if you
Can
want
you
to
zoom a little bit in that
can I
page?
zoom?
Jeff?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, that's
Look at that.
better.
There
You
you
know
go.
me, always asking. Go bigger.
I'm not thinking of the StreamYard config. So there's a link to go grab the .NET release candidate up there, or if you want to use the current or the long-term servicing releases, here are the two versions that are also available for you out there. .NET Core 3.1, that's our long-term support release, and .NET 5, that's our current release that's supported for about a year and a and a little bit after the next version is released. So you can choose that version that you want to download. And you know what? It also comes in the box with Visual Studio. So if you install Visual Studio, you're going to get a copy of the .NET tools ready to go for you on Mac if you're using Visual Studio for Mac. Of course, on your Windows machine if you're using Visual Studio 2017, 2019, or the new Visual Studio 2022. So easy to get in here, download. This will give you a command line tool if you download the SDK here. You can also go through a 5-minute tutorial right here in the browser that's all embedded right here. There's a video from our friends Scott and Kendra showing you exactly how to get started with running through a tutorial, a simple hello world, get started tutorial right here in the browser. Now, okay, you can go through and actually activate and work this tutorial in the browser. But there's some other cool things that you can check out and download and run locally if you're interested in getting a little bit more hands-on. So we have interactive notebooks available for you. They're available from this GitHub site, github.com/.net/C#-notebooks. And you can download and run these interactive notebooks inside Visual Studio Code on your machine. So let me show you what these look like real quick. I thought I had a Visual Studio Code. I do not with it open. So let me open that real quick. I will just run and get my C# notebooks and open that up. And these all run right here in your browser. I'm sorry, right here in Visual Studio Code. So you can interact with .NET without any of the need to go and install extra tools, go and install a runtime or the SDK. This runs without any of those things that I was just talking about, Visual Studio or the .NET SDK. You can read through this documentation and interact and try out some C# code right in Visual Studio. And you can execute and you'll get responses popping out right away right here. Easy for folks to tinker with and have that no impact, no stress. Oh my gosh, I'm going to break something. I don't want to put extra things on my machine that I might not actually need. This is all running directly in Visual Studio Code. And since it runs on Visual Studio Code, that means it runs just fine on Windows, Mac, or Linux. So
that's an important point, I feel, because for a new developer, like or a student, I work a lot with students or like younger people in a hackathon and stuff like that. They have different machine, different OS, sometimes a very, very low budget. So now it's running on all kind of OS, all kind of machine, even Docker. I saw Docker. So you could run it from anywhere. And like the tools are also free to get started. So like there's no, I need to download this expensive tool to get started.
No, the SDK is free, open source. Anybody can download and use it. And like you said, works on all the platforms. You can run it with Docker. You can interact and use it however you want. You can deploy it wherever you want. That's all up to you. The only tools that you might need to get into that there might be a paywall, you might have to pay, and you're going to get more advanced, more complete tool set for developers are things like Visual Studio, where you're going for that integrated developer experience, that IDE that's going to give you a lot more bang for your buck.
That's cool. And most of the time that will be an enterprise. I saw we have a question, Jeff, in the chat. I don't know if that's that thing you just saw, but we have a journal asking, we'll be going from the .NET framework 4.8 to .NET 6. Is it possible, or like should they rewrite everything?
No. We don't want you to rewrite everything. Check this out. We have, and I'm going to there is a new tool that we're making available. It's the Upgrade Assistant. Look at it. It popped up right there. The Upgrade Assistant is being made available for folks to be able to point to their existing applications and upgrade. It'll do all the appropriate changes necessary to get you into this version. Takes you to .NET 5. There is an updated version coming as part of .NET 6 that will get you from .NET Framework 4.8 into .NET 6 as much as possible with your application. Now, if your application is something like web forms or WCF services that aren't supported in .NET Core, in .NET 6, it's not going to be able to get you into that version of the framework with that application. That's okay. We still have some guidance for you. We have some documentation that'll get you pointers that'll hopefully get you started in the right direction so that you can plan and migrate appropriately. But if you have a Windows Forms application, a WPF application, an ASP.NET MVC application, or an ASP.NET Web API, this will get you moving in the right direction to get your application there. And we target about 80 to 90% completion, where there's going to be some things in there you're going to need to tune and adjust appropriately to make sure it works.
Wonderful. I see we have 2 minutes, so we have time for more questions. So we have, I'm sorry if I butcher your name, Sarosh is asking, like, will the speed, the performance will be increased if we move from the .NET Core 3.1 to 6?
Absolutely. I already actually have a tab open here. Our friend Stephen Taub from the .NET engineering team wrote up this blog post. If you haven't seen this on the .NET blog, you got to check it out. This isn't just a blog post. This is a little ebook all about performance in .NET that you got to check out if you have any interest in how big technology and frameworks like this work. You check this out. It's literally 100 pages printed. Okay, but there's all kinds of details in here about how they're improving and benchmarking all of .NET. And what you're going to see is that they're improving the performance upwards to 40% over .NET 5. And .NET 5 was already a 30 to 40% improvement over .NET Core 3.1. So you're going to see a significant jump in performance when you upgrade to .NET 6. We highly recommend it. That next long-term servicing release is really going to help with the performance of your applications. So
wonderful. I didn't know about that link. Yeah, drop it in the chat, and I will make sure to also add it into the show notes. Yeah, so 99% of the links we're sharing today are in the show notes. In that URL, if you go there, all the links should be there. If it's missing, I will update that after the show, I promise.
Yeah, really great stuff.
That's cool. So, Jeff, time is flying.
Already. Oh, my gosh. Okay. All right.
Like, we need to move on and continue to the segment, our second segment.
Sure.
But before we go, I want people to learn a little bit more about you. So could you tell us what you do at Microsoft?
Sure.
What's your role? What's it?
So I'm a program manager on the .NET community team. I have a focus on delivering content, helping folks learn more about .NET, particularly over live video, like right here. I help plan events. I help generate some of the content, some of the training material that you see on the .NET GitHub, some of the Learn module material that you see out there. I wrote and contributed to.
Oh, lovely. So the next topic is one that interests me a lot because it's the minimal approach. Like, it interests me because, like, always, like, lean or clean code and stuff like that, at least to get started in projects. Sure. But what can you give me more detail?
Give you a little bit more about that? Sure. Let's do this. Let me open Visual Studio Code here, and let's talk about the new minimal approach that you're going to see as part of .NET 6. Now, there's some folks that think, oh gosh, what's going on there? I don't quite understand. You're moving my cheese. You're changing how things work, and they get a little confused and a little worried about how things work. when you start to create a new application now, of course, you have all the great templates that we had before, and now we show you just a snapshot of them because there's a lot of templates that we have available inside the toolkit by default. But what you can do here is you can create a new console application. I'm going to create this and just call this first console. Okay. So there it is. And I'll open that in Visual Studio Code. And what you're going to find is this looks a little weird, right? Let me just open. Yeah, that's fine. We'll stay right here, right? That looks a little weird that our program CS to folks that have been doing .NET for 10, 15 years. This looks weird. I have a
Yep.
file that's just hello world, but that is really how easy it is to get started. So I'm going to drop into my first console. And when I .NET run, it runs that application. It delivers my hello world. Why? How? Where did my program class go? My static void main method that starts everything off. We've simplified things, and we're using a new feature called top level programs. And it allows us to write just the code that we need to get things started. All that ceremony to start an application is gone. We've also introduced another feature called implicit usings, and we have that enabled inside of our project file here. We still have our project file, and it defines how we interact with and how we build and work with our application, the class files that we write. But because this implicit usings is here, check this out. If I open my obj folder where all that middle stuff is built, there is inside of here, scroll down. Where is it? There we go. First console global usings. Check this out. Okay. It generates this file that has these global using statements. So for a console application, everybody gets these using statements added by default. So now I don't have to write in every one of my class files using system, right? You need to use the system namespace in order to get things like the date time type available for you to reference and work with dates in your application.
And will it work with my, I don't know, like if I'm building a library and I want to add my library, I could add it there so it's included everywhere?
Great question. These global using statements, you can embed in any CS file in your application, but by adding that implicit using, activating that inside of your project file over here for a project that is Microsoft Net SDK, it'll generate these couple of global using statements for you. And you'll also get them in class libraries as well. But if you want to add other using statements that are appropriate for your domain, for, like you were saying, your class library, you can generate and put those global using statements in a class file in that project.
I like that.
And now you're not constantly saying using my application .domain, and that's just included everywhere in all your files by default.
Yeah, so work smarter, not harder, right?
Exactly. So we're simplifying this a little bit, and like folks look at this and they say, "Well, gosh, Fritz, you're showing me this, and that seems so simple. That seems a little crazy that I would do something like that. Why, right? How do I actually get some value out of this? Big deal. You showed me a hello world. Well, let's do something and add a little bit more here. So let's add a package to this. I'm going to add the package link to CSV. Link to CSV is a package that allows you to use link statements to interact with comma-separated value files, those CSV files that you see generated and output sometimes from Excel documents. So let's create a CSV file here. I'll call it contacts CSV, and I'm going to create first name, last name, and we'll put Jeff, Fritz, and we'll put Frank, Boucher, and let's put our friend Kathleen Dollard. There we go. And I have a CSV file. Well, I can now read that CSV file inside my project and start to work with it. So let's add a using for link to CSV. And now I can open and work with that CSV file inside my project to work with contacts, right? So let's create a class here, public class, contact, and I'll create a property for first name because that was the name of the first field we had there. Let's create another property for last name. right? So now I've got a class still in one file. I've written 13 lines of code, but let's actually iterate over that list of contacts and work with them. So I'm going to create a context. That's going to be a new CSV context that allows me to work with that comma separated file. And let's go load our contacts. So I can say context read. I'm going to go get a contact, and I'm going to get that from contacts CSV. Let's do a quick for loop across that so we can report who these folks are inside my file here for each statement. There we go. We'll call it a C in contacts. There we go. Get rid of that. And let's just do a console write line, and let's just output folks' names. So C dot first name, and we'll do C dot last name. Cool. That's it, right? I've written 20 lines of code. I haven't gone and written a bunch of other files, but I've got something now that uses a NuGet package to load data from somewhere else and output information that might be appropriate for folks to be able to work with this. And I've got my using statement wrong. Link to CSV. Yeah, that's, oh, it's a capital T there. My bad. My bad. And
a real live show wouldn't be real without any typos.
That's right. We got to have typos, right? But I was able to fetch data and just dump it out to the screen there easy, right? So when you think about this, if you needed to have some sort of little application that does some interaction, maybe with a microservice, maybe it needs to interact with a database to do some migration, this is real easy to write. I mean, 10, 20 lines of code, that this could be throwaway code. This contact could be a domain object sitting in a library that I just reference. And now all I'm really doing is these 11 lines of code. That's
like
great
that.
stuff.
People in the chat are saying like Fritz is writing codes faster than I think, or like using Jeff semicolon. I love that. I love that. You know what? I think it will be very, very nice for me to. I'm the king of typos.
Yeah, right. And I'm going through things here, and I do happen to have a little bit of code over here that I wrote in the past that gets me there. So we did this with a console application. I've got about 3 minutes left in this segment. So what if we did this with an API? Right. So let's do .NET New Web, and let's call this first API. All right. So I'm going to create a project called First API. And right, when we think about APIs that we build, they're really a lot of ceremony to build a controller when we think about Web API in the past, and all the startup class and all that stuff to get it running. Well, now it's much, much easier. Now I don't have to go through all that ceremony because I have top level statements. I have my using statements generated for me. And I can now just say, well, this is a web application. Web application, create builder, build the application, and I can map a get statement, a get route that says, well, return hello world when I navigate to the root of this application. So I'll .NET run this real quick. And we'll see that this is a web application that we can click into here. There's my HTTPS right there. I will control click to open that, open up my Microsoft Edge browser, which decided to go to another screen on me. Stand by, friends. There we go. Hello world. Big deal, right? Okay, you can do hello world. But
like that's perfect for today.
Sure, that's just fine for today, but let's go put that link to CSV in here. Let's put that back into this. And we can bring over that exact same concept again, right? Link to CSV, there it is.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Let me put that contact back in here, right? So this might be sitting in another file, that's okay. And let me grab these. And what I can do is I can also add additional routes here to return, right? Let's say we go to /contacts. I can specify, let's do a little bit more than just return some text. So let me grab that contacts CSV from over here. I'm just going to copy it into the folder. So now it's over here. I have that same list of folks. And now what I can do is I can say, I don't even have to say var contacts, using the exact same business logic. I can return that collection of contacts directly when contacts is requested. So let's .NET run one more time here. And we're going to get this loaded up. There it is. I'll go back over to my browser. So it still says hello world, but if I go to /contacts, I'm using the exact same code. I'm using the exact same processing. I've only written just a few extra lines of code to reach into that contact CSV. Once again, 10 lines of code, and now I have a little service that knows how to fetch data from an endpoint and present it almost like a microservice. And it runs faster than a normal full ASP.NET Core application with controllers and Razor pages and all that stuff. This gets you that really optimal performance that the third parties are reviewing and saying ASP.NET is the fastest web framework to use.
It's very, very interesting. I know the time is flying, Jeff, and I was reading some question, but that implicit reference, I forgot the name already.
The implicit usings.
Yeah, exactly. Implicit usings. That's totally optional because someone was just saying it could be abused. Well, if you don't want it, you don't need to use it. It's optional.
You're not wrong. You can turn it off. In an ASP.NET application, here's the usings that it generates for that. You see it generates a whole bunch more that are appropriate for ASP.NET Core. But to exactly your point, you can turn this off. There's an enabled flag right here inside your project file. So for those things that you want to change how we build your application, it's all there as enable and true false flags that you can turn on and off for your project.
That's wonderful. So we'll still have the control, but you know what? I really like that new format. Really nice, and it's all available in the release candidate too. Correct?
It's all available in the latest release candidate, and you're going to see all of these updates go out with the full version in November.
Of course. Yeah, soon. November is mostly in a few days. That's awesome.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Can I answer his question from Sarosh on YouTube?
Yeah, we could go quickly though because we are a little bit over time.
Asks, where can I add a global using in this API project? No problem. We got you covered, Sarosh. So here inside program, right, it's referencing and kind of pointing out how it's consuming that content. You can just add another file out here, and I can call this my usings, whatever. It's just a CS file, and I can move that using statement over here and put that in. And I don't think I have the syntax right there. I don't. It's global using. Yes, global like that. And now it's available everywhere inside my application. So I can go back over to Program CS, and that's no longer needed. And everywhere now, it'll just have references, in my case, to links to CSV.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Jeff, before we jump into the next segment, where people can find you or collaborate? I know you do a lot of open source project and you share a lot. So can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. So I am, look, there's my name right there. I am C# Fritz everywhere on the internet. So you can go to c#fritz.com to find my blog. Twitter.com, C# Fritz is where you'll find me on Twitter. GitHub.com, C# Fritz, where you can find all my open source projects. And of course on YouTube, on Twitch, I'm live streaming and presenting recorded videos. YouTube.com/C#Fritz, Twitch.tv/C#Fritz, and you can find all my stuff out there. I think I'm also on Instagram at the TikTok and a couple other things as C#.
Oh yeah, so you started the TikTok thing.
I have an account. I reposted a couple videos there. I should do more with it at some point.
I did try it, but time is I missed time to create more content over there, but it was fun. I liked it. It was interesting.
It's good stuff.
Jeff, for the next segment, we need to talk about Blazor.
We do. Blazor is my favorite part of .NET right now. It is so interesting. As a web developer, it's a way for me to build applications that make use of reusable components in a way that just it fits the way my brain thinks, and I really enjoy building with it. I want to show you just a couple of the new things that are coming with Blazor as part of .NET 6, and hopefully get you pointed in the right direction here so you can do a heck of a lot more with it. So, of course, I've started a new project here. I called it AOT, and I'll show you more about AOT ahead of time in a second here. But we now have for how our Blazor WebAssembly projects. So Blazor is this component-driven web application framework that you can use to build applications that run on a server, just like ASP.NET Core renders out there and delivers HTML. Or you can compile and run it in the browser using WebAssembly. That's an HTML5 standard technology that's available to you. But in this project that is WebAssembly, our program file, it gets mashed up with what was a startup file to make it really simple to get started with just 11 lines of code here that it's generated for you to define how we're going to configure and run this WebAssembly application. So once again, same theme, simplifying the amount of code that you need to write. And we've added some new features to make it easier for you to interact with some other things that as a web developer, you should have access to. Particularly, let me go over here and show you in our index page, you'll see we have this element here that we can now use called page title. And we can change the title for our pages by including this tag and defining the new title of our applications. So Blazor gives you that single page application experience, but when I'm building components and pages, I don't necessarily have access to the head area to be able to change out the title. I also don't have access to be able to add other CSS style sheets or script or meta tags that I might want. So we also now have the head content tag that allows you to add extra content you may want to put in the header of your application. So really good stuff that helps you update and show that extra information you may want. Now, we've added the ability to use error boundaries. I'm going to come back to that index page in a minute. So I added an error boundary. This is a way for you to put some tags inside of a component. So you can say only let errors happen within this block, and we'll do something appropriate if it doesn't work properly for me. So let me jump over to this and let me show you what happens when we have this error boundary on this block of code for my counter. Now, when it runs the way that it's supposed to run, let me get this open real quick. It should return, and I'll zoom back out. It should return just a counter count here. But if I create an error in here, and Frank, I'm going to divide my count by 0.
No, it's always a good idea.
Always, it's the bestest of ideas. Let me .NET watch this so we can see this run a little bit faster here. I'm keeping an eye on the clock. And I'll jump back over here, refresh that page, and now it has an error in it. And when I jump into it, I get by default this red block, and it's only where that page was being rendered, only where we specified the boundary that an error has occurred. Fantastic. It's not all over the entire page. It's not interrupting my flow, but it's right there. You can customize how the error is reported on the user interface. There's, of course, the ability to customize this. I'm just going to jump in here and uncomment this extra code that I have, move that into this child content element so you can see it. I'll tab it back there. So the child content, this is the code that we want to execute, and we want to show if there are no errors. And I've got a little block of markup here. If there is an error, show this instead. I'll just output, oops, hey, that didn't work. So I'll let this refresh after it rebuilds here, and I get just oops. It doesn't affect the rest of my page. It's nice and simple, and I can handle when that error occurs. So think about it. If you're trying to go access a microservice, or you're trying to go get some data from the website that you're hosting on, and something happens and you get a 404, you're disconnected from the network, right? Or the data comes back and it's in the wrong format for some reason. You need to handle that, but you don't want to show an error on the screen. You've got better error handling here that'll allow you to write more content that's markup driven to render and output on the screen. So a much better experience for how you interact with these.
Yeah, definitely better. And like you say, like your flow is not interrupt. And with all the APIs and stuff, the connectivity today, it's not if, it's when you will be disconnected or like having some.
Yeah,
so that's cool.
Now, the last thing that I want to show here is one of the cool new Blazor features is the ability for you to get parameters from the query string. So let me jump back over to the index page and we'll close this up real quick. So, right, I have a name entry down here. So I have it just checking and saying, well, if name is a value, I'll put that name, otherwise world here. And of course, I can capture that as a parameter. We've known how to do this since Blazor 1.0 by marking this as parameter, and I can kind of capture by adding this extra bit here, and I'm going to actually make that nullable. Now, by doing that, it'll capture any name that's specified after that and drop it into this location for me. So let's go back over and, right, you see it comes up and says hello world, but of course I can change this to /Frank and it'll reload. And now it says hello Frank, but that's part of the route. It's another folder in the structure. Some folks want to be able to do this by providing a query string. So we can do that now. We can specify this is a parameter, and we can specify that we're going to supply that parameter from query, and that query string is called, right, we can say name equals name. Okay, we'll save that, and it's going to restart. There it goes. And we'll see there's nothing at /Frank. If I go back and we let it open, it says hello world, but I can say now name equals Fritz. It'll navigate, and now I get hello Fritz. So different ways to pass information into your Blazor application, different ways for you to interact with your components, provide ways that are more natural to your application instead of being forced into routing, some C# error handling. It keeps you in the flow of whatever type of application you're building.
Wonderful. And now it's time to pass to the next time. And we'll come back with more C# Fritz. But for now it's time to bring back Nitya and do a ABSee game. Hello, Nitya.
Hi, I am so fascinated. This has been so awesome. I've been taking notes like crazy. I'm so excited for Blazor. But let's play the game. I will say that I try to make these puzzles good for anyone. So you may not know anything about .NET or the web, and you should still be able to answer it if you've been paying attention. So let's go. Should we start with the first one?
Yes, and in the viewers in the chat, type the answers. There's no prize except the glory of being the first one guessing.
All the points are made up.
Exactly.
Yes. And I'll walk you through this for the very first one. So if
let's do it.
Let's do it. So I live in New York. If you know the legend of Sleepy Hollow, I live very close to that place. So what you're seeing here is a headless person. And the headless person's holding what looks like a globe of the web. Says, sometimes the best thing about me is that I can run headless. And underneath it says testing as you like it. So your clues are why as you like it. You might have heard of Shakespeare. He's another example of this word. But we're looking for a word which starts with P. It's a library and API from Microsoft. It's open source. And it enables end-to-end testing for modern web apps across all modern browsers.
Now, okay, Nitya, I know about the Phantom browser. So this isn't the Phantom of the microservice.
No, but this is a new library that will allow headless testing across all browsers. Like, so you can try this with, I mean, it'll work. You can do testing across all browsers, and it allows headless browser testing. Yes, you got it. I don't know how many people
I'm not
do.
gonna say it.
You say it.
No, I want to let folks in chat guess. No, it's not plural site.
I like Pluralsight. People are calling Isaac. Oh no, is it Isaac? No.
Isaac used to win the stuff like crazy. So the whole idea with this is I'm giving you various different clues that'll
No,
get you
Isaac
there.
is there. Isaac is there. He's saying it's
here?
playwright.
Oh my God! Oh, there you go, Isaac. Jesus. All right, fine. Yes, the answer is playwright. You should definitely go check it out. We'll put the links in the resources. It's an amazing, amazing technology. So do you want to do the next one? Do we have time for the next?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So the next one is actually related to .NET MAUI. That is supposed to be a monkey. Please don't judge me. And it says, I just heard about this move to MAUI.
Yeah.
It's talking to a developer. The developer says, .NET 6, and there's now Android, Windows, Linux, everything. Says, I think MAUI means something else because the monkey's all dressed up in a Hawaiian shirt, right? So MAUI is not Hawaii. What does MAUI stand for? MAUI is a cross-platform framework to build apps for desktop and mobile. Fill in the blanks. It's MAUI. Do you know what that stands for? So there's the first word, and M is a hyphenated one. So if you want to guess. And
of course
again,
I know what this is. It's more applications you need to install. Right? I got it right, Frank, right?
More problems. It's a hyphenated P, so it's more problems.
Okay.
And unlimited, what? Intelligence? No, I don't know.
Platform, auxiliary unit information.
I'm just waiting for Isaac, and Isaac is letting me down right now. But
he's a machine. Isaac is a machine. Like he
yes!
is.
Someone guessed it. Woohoo!
Victor. Yeah, Victor in the chat said it's a multi-platform app user interface.
Yes, and Rishi Shah also, I saw that pop up. Yes, absolutely. So now you're getting the hang of this game. You'll never forget, right? A Xamarin Monkey in a Hawaiian t-shirt. That's your guide that we're talking about MAUI. I'm kidding. All right, are we ready for the next one?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
Okay,
all right. Okay. Next one is also MAUI related.
All right.
So this one says, I'm thinking of trying to build apps with .NET MAUI. And the person's like, He's like, I want there a resource that gives me a collection of common elements. It should give me examples of behaviors, all of this stuff. And this other person's like, it exists. Let me tell you, it exists. And this person keeps talking. But my question to you is, do you know what this resource is? If you've been following devblogs on .NET, you might have heard of it. Go follow Brandon Minnick if you don't. It's the .NET MAUI. The two letters are C and T. It's a collection of open source modules that you can contribute to. You can contribute examples. You can contribute and repurpose some of the elements that are available. Yeah. So yes, Jeff got it. I'm not sure if anyone else is, but I want to basically point you to the link. So in the resources, we'll have a link to the DevBlogs post on this. It is an amazing resource, and you should check it out and contribute. Don't forget. Did anyone guess it?
Yeah, on the chat, we have it once. I'm waiting on Learn TV. I don't see any answers, but yep, a community toolkit.
Yes, there's actually two of them. There's also a markup toolkit, but definitely check out the DevBlogs post because it goes into great detail about what's there and the roadmap ahead. So you really, really want to figure it out. All right, do we have time for the next one, Frank? I'm going to let you decide.
I'm still laughing. People are having fun and creating a very funny name. Mid-Atlantic Ukulele Invitational. I love it.
This is how we remember. This is why games are fun ways to learn. All right, let's try one more. I like the Mid-Atlantic Ukulele International. I like that. Let's change the .NET MAUI name. I'm all for it. Great logo. Fits the Hawaiian theme.
I'm going to reach out to my Philly.net user group here in the Mid-Atlantic and tell them to get some ukuleles.
There you go.
I like that.
Are we going to have time
and
for one more?
All the links will be providing more links if you want to learn more about those topics, because I didn't know about the community toolkit. So like Nitya will provide links. We'll have that in the show note. Obviously, for spoiler, we didn't include them yet, but we'll do it after the show. Yeah, we'll totally have time. We have plenty of time, Nitya. So let's
do the last one just in case we run out.
Okay.
And then if we have time, we'll come back to the fourth one. Because the last one, I mean, like, I took the trouble. Is this the last? Yes. So this says, I want to build a modern web app. If you've been paying attention and you don't know this, you're in trouble. Well, it says, I have a lot of options right now. It says, I want to use C#. It's like, can I use templates and share code and build components? And it says, yes. In fact, there is this nice video series. And a person in a purple jacket which I hugely recommend because it's amazing. So do you know what this technology is? We've only been talking about it for the past 10 minutes. So yes.
I know that one.
So beautiful.
I know.
It start by a blah and finish by a or.
Yes. So this is
Blazor. Excellent.
Oh, everyone is jumping on it. Okay, my goodness. I can see so many pop-up answers. Yes.
Wonderful.
And I'm not kidding. That jacket, the joke in there is like, is that a purple jacket? Because someone's like, is that a purple jacket? No, it's a blazer. Get it? Okay, awesome. So I think we have one last one if we have time, but I'll let you decide.
Well, I think we should go to the next segment and come back with that final one if we have time.
Hope people had fun. Sounds good.
I love it because, you know, like we want to talk about .NET Conf. And this event is coming. I know it's coming, but what's the exact date?
Let me bring up the .NET Conf website here.
Oh, that's even better. Like I'm visual.
There we go. .NET Conf 2021, right there, November 9th through the 11th. And check this out, Frank. We've had this planned for a little bit, but we just announced it yesterday. Not only is it November 9th through the 11th, but wait, there's more. November 8th is the Visual Studio 2022 launch date. So you've got Monday the 8th, Visual Studio, full day about great content, a full day of great content talking about the new Visual Studio and all the productivity features that are in there, even if you're not a .NET developer, how you're going to be able to take advantage of Visual Studio. And then
I need to text my manager. I will take a week off.
Yes, do that. Take your week off. Better yet, tell your friends, tell your family, jump into a Microsoft Teams session, share your screen while you're watching .NET Conf together, because we've got 3 days, 80 sessions, 80 sessions, half-hour sessions from Microsoft Team, from folks from the community, talking about all the awesome things happening with .NET 6, with how you can use .NET with some of your favorite products out there. There's been some crazy interesting presentations that we've had in years past. Last year, somebody was showing how you could hook up .NET 5 to your hot tub and have it report back and show you important information about your hot tub and be able to control
important information
and interact with it. Absolutely. You need to know, right? You need to know the acidity. You need to know the temperature, all that stuff so you can control it. And that was a session. The year before, our friend Cam Soper had a session talking about how he used .NET to control his barbecue. He barbecued with .NET because he had an IoT device doing all of his temperature interactions wired up to his smoker, and he was able to keep track of exactly how he was cooking using .NET. Really great stuff. There's awesome topics all throughout the day. We've got, of course, some featured speakers that you might know. This guy right here, Scott Hanselman. Mads Torgerson is going to be talking about all the latest stuff with C# 10 during the event. Scott Hunter, of course, will be kicking things off. He's got a fantastic keynote planned, showing a pretty cool demo app, if I do say so myself.
Dan Roth will be there talking about Blazor, I'm assuming.
Yep. Maddie will be there. Maddie Leger talking about latest updates with .NET MAUI. But combined with the Visual Studio 2022 launch, if you're a .NET developer, this is going to be an event that you're going to want to tune into. You're going to want to click through to .NETconf.net. There's a big save the date button right up here. Click that button, save the date. It'll give you an appropriate calendar hold that you can of course create. Tell your boss, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your pets. You're going to be tuning in to .NET Conf. You're going to be able to watch it on this website. You're going to be able to watch it right here on Learn TV. Or if you want to watch it on your Roku device or on your Xbox, you've got your Xbox set up at home and on the big screen, you can tune into channels on YouTube and on Twitch. You'll be able to watch it there as well. So you can lean back and be able to have a nice bowl of popcorn and watch all the fun happening as .NET Conf kicks off.
And is it like, so is it for like you looking for words here? Like I should buy some syllables. too many information in my head at the same time. So is that for like, so I'm assuming I'm a new developer, maybe an intermediate, or maybe a senior developer. There's content for everyone.
There is content for all levels. We've got beginner level stuff. We've even got some Microsoft Learn modules that are going to be presented live by speakers, so that they host and present that as more instructional. So if you want to learn about building microservices with .NET, if you want to learn about building web user interfaces with .NET, there are 2 half-hour sessions scheduled that'll walk through that entire process with you. So we have some advanced topics on performance tuning and monitoring. And
that's cool.
Yeah, even some intermediate topics, of course, about how to get started with the latest features of C# 10 that are being released as part of this. I see in chat, Isaac is asking, when's the agenda getting published? We are confirming folks on the schedule right now. We expect to publish it in the next day or two. It's taken just a little bit longer, where we've got 83 speakers we're coordinating here, and we want to make sure we publish everything as accurately as possible. It will be published this week, but the top level folks that we know from Microsoft that are confirmed, that are speaking, we have their content. They're published as featured speakers out there, and the rest of the agenda will be coming along in the next day or two.
Wonderful. Super happy. So we put the link in the chat. Do you want to show it again in the screen?
Yep. So this is the agenda. Go out to .NET Conf.
Brian, do you want to bring the excellent, thank you.
There you go.
Go, sorry, Jeff.
Yep, the .NET Conf 2021, 26 days away. We've been working on this show now since July. We've been planning and coordinating things. It's going to be a big event. Speakers from all around the world. 6 of the 7 continents we have folks representing. Sorry, Antarctica. And it's going to be tremendous. We really enjoy the show. It's in its 11th year, and it's always been virtual like this. We're really excited for folks to tune in. Where's the save the date button for the Visual Studio launch? You know what? Did they put it on the Visual Studio website? So if you go to visualstudio.com, there's the Visual Studio 2022 launch right there. Save the date.
Right at the top of the screen. Excellent.
So, yep, head to visualstudio.com and you'll get it. All right.
And you know what, Jeff? It's already time to wrap up the day, where I think we may have time to see the last demo that Nitya, right? But first, I want to bring back that question of the day that we have. That's your chance, viewer, to give feedback to Jeff and the .NET team by answering very simply that question into the chat, scanning with your phone the barcode, or going to aka.ms/Q3. And the question is, when choosing a version of a framework or a tool to work with, I prefer A, the long-term version, the long-term support, LTS version, B, the latest release version with a short support cycle, or C, a pre-release or a nightly version so I can try those latest features. And like I'm saying, like it depends on the occasion, but like I was saying, most of the time I will be with A for me, except if I'm building something and I really want the latest. So I will be a mix of A and C, I'm assuming, but mostly A, because most of the time I'm presenting and I don't want to try too much since I'm not focusing all the time in .NET. But that's cool.
Yeah, I expect those folks who are enterprise developers building those applications that are going to be out there for a while to choose the long-term support version.
Yeah, but it's nice to have the option. I really like that.
Absolutely. Here we go.
And all the links will be in the show notes. The link should appear in the description. Time is flying. Should we start ASAP? Yes. Okay. Nitya.
Start it. This one's an easy one. If you know Blazor, Jeff mentioned what this is, and this powers Blazor. So the thing shows the web is throwing a party, the browser is throwing a party, and you can see there's HTML and JavaScript and CSS folks all like ready to chill. And then here comes Wasm and says, I know how open you are to new ideas. I brought friends, and there's C and C++ and Rust and C# now.
Got it.
Technology. What does it allow? What technology allows low-level languages to be compiled into modules that run in the browser? And by the way, I have one other gift for both of you. Can you see my screen right now? That's
Yes.
today's entire session
Whoa.
summarized. I'm going to ship it on Twitter. You can see it.
Cool.
That's the entire thing you talked about today. It was awesome. Thank you so
Ah,
much.
you're wonderful,
Awesome.
wonderful, wonderful. And like, yeah, WebAssembly, that's what it is. Excellent.
Yes.
It's not
Everyone
whack.
got it.
It's
And
not
we'll put
whack
links to the
something.
images too. So if anyone wants to grab them and play,
You got a
afterwards, you
prize.
can.
You got a prize. You got a prize. You got everyone got a prize. Prizes
stuff.
made of. Excellent. I love that. Well, Jeff, big thank you for coming on the show today. Really appreciate. Same for Unitia, taking the time to record all those things plus the notes. Very, very happy about that. And to all of you viewers, big thank you for your participation. It's wouldn't be a Hello World show without you. So very happy. I will see you tomorrow for. Well, in fact, tomorrow we replay the episode about data, but people will be live in the chat. So still, if you have questions, it's still time to come. I will see you there. Bye-bye.